Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, for those of you who geek out on the channel all the time, you will know that we have a historical tradition of disarming individuals who we deem to be dangerous. And we even have a historical tradition of disarming certain people depending on where they may be physically located. But I have scoured the case law and the history books, and I cannot find any historical tradition of actually disarming veterans. But shockingly, that's exactly what's been going on for a number of years. It grossly accelerated during the previous presidential administration, and now some people in Congress want to step in and do something about it. We're going to talk about three very, very important pieces of legislation. We're going to encourage you to contact your congresspeople and tell them to pass these bills. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about the bill to protect veterans' Second Amendment rights.
First individual on call, and for whatever reason, if that goes through, we have actually 3 layers. So we have another and another. So if it continues to ring, it goes from one phone to the next to the next. So we're betting on our chances. The highly compensated team that we have is going to take that phone call. And then from there, they have that privilege, right? They have the attorney-client privilege and that right to share with them, our attorneys, of what just took place. We have a nationwide team of attorneys that's going to be able to reach out to our Arizona attorney to get them on the horn immediately. We've had cases all over the country. You're not truly prepared unless you have right to bear back you. You will always get an attorney-answered hotline, so you will always have a confidential phone call. There are no cap limits for either civil or criminal defense. This covers all forms of self-defense. So from a fist to a firearm, from a fat lip to a dead body, you are covered, and you will have some of the nation's most passionate 2A attorneys in your corner fighting for you. And right now, if you visit my friends at protectwithbear.com and you use the promo code WGL, you will receive 10% off. Listen, you need to protect yourself so that you can protect them. Visit my good friends at protectwithbear.com.
Okay, America, we're going to actually talk about 3 pieces of legislation. 2 of them really are companion bills. We're going to first talk about House Resolution 1041, which has a Senate companion bill of Senate Bill 478, okay? And again, these are basically the exact same topics, one in the House, one in the Senate companion bills. We're also going to talk about House Resolution 496. Why? Well, these bills are essential to not only preserve the Second Amendment rights of one of our most cherished commodities, which of course is our veterans, but these bills are actually going to be necessary to undo some of the absolute and horrific damage that has been done to their Second Amendment rights over the last few years. Now, this all has to do with VA benefits and a bunch of bureaucrats at the VA, none of which are mental health specialists, none of which are MDs, but all of which apparently can decide who should be armed and who shouldn't, because this is the way it works with the VA, okay? If in fact you're a veteran and you decide that, you're struggling with your mental health and you want to go see a mental health counselor, whether it's just for counseling or you want to be prescribed medicine or whatever it may be, whatever the issue is, what the Hobson's choice that veterans are placed in is they can go get the health care that they need, but in doing so, the VA is going to immediately notify NICS that these people have sought mental health care, and NICS will then disqualify them from future firearm purchases. Now understand, this is for any veteran that goes to seek any type of mental health counseling. So maybe he just had a death in the family and it's temporary grief counseling, disarmed. Maybe it's just a mild bout of depression or a few recent anxiety attacks, disarmed. So it doesn't need to be these really extreme acute mental health conditions. And so there are many veterans who probably are huge fans of the right of self-preservation. They want the ability to protect themselves, their family, and their loved ones. And so they're just not willing to trade in complete disarmament to seek mental health counseling. Now understand, America, all of this disarmament orders are coming from just long-serving governmental bureaucrats. None of them are doctors. None of them have the letters MD behind their name. None of them are psychologists. None of them are psychiatrists. None of them are even licensed mental health counselors. No, these are just lifelong government employees who have been given the authority to sua sponte enter an individual into the NICS background check system. Now, when this horrific practice was brought to everyone's attention in the third quarter of the year 2024 through appropriations, there was significant money subtracted from the VA's budget as it related to those line items that should have theoretically stopped the VA from exercising this practice. Unfortunately, they just kept going full steam ahead. And so the VA has shown an absolute unwillingness to stop this practice at all. That is why we're going to introduce you both to House Resolution 1041 as well as Senate Bill 478. So either one of these bills, if it becomes law, would stop the practice of the VA just being able to automatically enter onto the NICS system a disqualification merely because a veteran sought mental health counseling or treatment. It would also stop the practice of the VA being able to make those demarcations on the NICS background check system when they learn that a financial surrogate is helping assist with the finances. And if any of you think that this is really a bold or dangerous move, understand that right now, the VA is able to disarm these veterans without ever making a finding, and this is important, without ever making a finding that they pose a danger to themselves or others. Merely having some need to seek mental health treatment or merely having some need to have somebody assist you with your finances forfeits your Second Amendment rights forever right now, according to the VA. And that brings me to House Resolution 496, because I just said, hey, once you're in the system, it's kind of a door that only swings one way. It is virtually impossible to get these veterans back out of the NICS system. It's not like you have a conviction where you can go back to the court and get your rights restored. It's not like any of the other methods by which we use to restore people's rights, because this is some bureaucrat sitting in a cubicle somewhere at the VA that has decided you need to be disarmed. House Resolution 496 would, through legislative mandate, order the FBI to remove all of those veterans' names that have been added under these grounds from the NICS background check system. In fact, the legislation specifically states that all data that was placed onto the NICS system starting November 30th of 1993 and moving forward has to be removed from the system. So I understand that one of the struggles that this country has when it comes to gun control laws is trying to determine who really is appropriate to possess a firearm. And while I certainly recognize that there are demographic groups out there, the criminally insane, felons, and those that are very dangerous, where we do have obviously a rich history of being able to disarm them. When it comes to our veterans, we have absolutely no history at all. In fact, any history we have is quite the opposite. But if you just step back, even if you're ambivalent, you really just don't care one way or the other. Can you think of any group in the United States population that is less deserving of disarmament than the very people who are willing to arm themselves and fight and put their life on the line for our country, our freedom, and our liberties? No, it is high time that this insane and inhumane practice against our veterans ends, and the way to do that is through House Resolution 1041, Senate Bill 478, and House Resolution 496. We're going to link them all up down below so you can geek out on them for yourself. And listen, I'm begging you, contact your congresspeople and tell them how important this legislation is and encourage them to support it and vote it into law. Listen, if you got any questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information is down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, you click on that link right there and tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, the ability to do all of that is right down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.